Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. The hours-long closure of Interstate 5 earlier this month is raising questions from local leaders. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer says they're asking local transit and law enforcement agencies about policies and procedures for freeway shutdowns.
Sitting in traffic on the best of days can be a frustrating inconvenience. But when freeways shut down for extended periods of time, it can also become a public safety issue.
We heard directly from constituents who missed flights, people who missed their own critical medical appointments, people who could not pick up children who were waiting for their families, people who could not get to work or could not get home.
That's the message a group of local and state officials are delivering in a letter to the California Department of Transportation, California Highway Patrol, and the San Diego Police Department. It follows 3 major closures on Interstate 5 in the past few months.
There were hour-long traffic standstills on the freeway, hours-long traffic standstills. Local streets were choked by congestion due to the traffic spillover, and there was little real-time information for the public.
The first 2 extended freeway closures happened around Camp Pendleton in October and November. The most recent one took place here at Del Mar Heights Road, where for about 8 hours on December 5th, traffic grinded to a halt on Interstate 5.
But the one on December 5th was rather extraordinary in terms of how many hours and the fact that we actually didn't communicate to drivers. We didn't prevent people from coming onto the freeway, adding to the confusion.
The local and state leaders have questions about how freeway closures are managed, how decisions are made in real time, how to reopen freeways quickly, and how public communications are handled.
Our goals here are simple. It's to protect public safety, limit closures whenever possible, and improve management of and communication about freeway closures when they do have to happen.
KPBS reached out to the CHP, San Diego Police, and Caltrans, but they did not immediately respond to our questions. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Well, we'll continue to experience cool nights, but very warm days. And some areas in the inland portions of Southern California will make a run to near record highs, especially farther to the east in areas like Yuma, Arizona, Needles, California, some of those areas well to the east. But we've been close in areas around Ramona, recent record highs. Tonight, though, down to 41 in Ramona, 51 into San Diego, and the warmth stays with us. The rain stays well to the north. We'll take a look at that full forecast coming up.
The gradual demolition of the San Onofre nuclear generating station is nearly done. As KPBS North County reporter Alexander Wynn shows us, crews are starting work on the iconic domes.
For the past 5 years, crews have been taking apart the San Onofre nuclear plant, piece by piece.
And we've removed about 400,000.
Gone are the auxiliary buildings. Now, all that remains are the iconic domes, which have been a San Diego landmark since the early 1980s.
You know where you are when you see these domes.
But their days are numbered too.
Probably around, say, November, December of next year.
Ron Pontes is the general manager for site closure at San Onofre. He says prep work for the demolition of the domes is already underway, but there won't be a dramatic implosion. Instead, crews will use excavators to slowly tear them down.
Those large excavators will work around the outside of the building. They'll pound away at the building in like 6 to 8 foot lifts, if you will. The building will actually, the weight of the building will actually fall down, if you will.
Pontes says that's safer than implosion because it reduces the risk of releasing nuclear radiation.
Early in this business of demolishing these plants, there was some use of explosives to bring down buildings, and that generates a lot of dust.
He says crews take a lot of precautions to ensure dust from the demolition doesn't pollute the air. Around the site, there are several air quality monitors, and crews break down concrete chunks into rubble inside these tents.
The tent that you see right here is connected to the building, and it's also under negative pressure. So as that rubble is removed from the inside of the building to the tent and handled to be placed inside gondola cars, it too is being controlled so that there's not an uncontrolled release of radioactivity at all.
Once the domes are demolished, the only thing that will remain will be the seawall, the switchyard, and the dry storage area, and that will remain until the federal government decides what to do with it.
This houses all the spent nuclear fuel that we produced while we were operating units 1, 2, and 3.
The federal government has yet to approve a site for disposing of San Onofre's nuclear waste.
It's a national problem. The U.S. government was supposed to start picking up fuel from our commercial reactors in 1998, and now it's almost 2026.
Pontes expects the domes to be fully demolished by the end of 2027. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
Thousands of sailors, Marines, and airmen just wrapped a large annual exercise spanning from Arizona to San Diego. The exercise puts troops in realistic situations they could encounter on an upcoming deployment. KPBS military reporter Andrew Dyer spent a day on the ground with the 1st Marine Division and has more.
On land, sea, and air, Camp Pendleton's 1 Marine Expeditionary Force is getting units ready for deployment. The annual exercise, Steel Night, this year will certify the 5th Marine Regiment for a rotational deployment to Darwin, Australia. There, the Marine Air Ground Task Force will be ready to respond to anything in the Indo-Pacific.
What we're going for is creating hard, realistic training for the Marines.
First Lieutenant Caleb Corhorn is the weapons platoon commander for Cherokee Company, 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. His platoon is working today at K2 Combat Town on Camp Pendleton.
Thinking back to what happened in the evacuation of Kabul in 2021, the chaos that ensued there, there is an attempt to replicate the same sort of stressors that Marines saw 4 years ago.
To recreate the events, Marines have secured an embassy and stand guard as protesters, actors bussed in by the Marines, put pressure on the guards at the gates. Navy Captain Garfield Cross is the 1st Marine Division surgeon. All the medics in the Marines are Navy corpsmen, and Cross is here to see how they handle a mass casualty event. He says they're among the best battlefield medics.
They are amazing. They are our strongest asset, to be honest. They are an extension of their physician. They go where we can't go. And they do the things that we can't or are not available to do.
Realism is everything during Steel Night. The Marines are living in the field. After securing the embassy overnight, they were able to sleep indoors.
Some in sleeping bags, some wrapped in a tarp, and then we're all eating MREs.
The exercise was 2 weeks, from December 1st through the 14th. Corhorn and his platoon will move on from the embassy.
And then we're prepared to move to a defensive position later this week. So living conditions will change. We'll be living and fighting out of a hole in the ground that we have dug.
The embassy falls. Corpsmen treat the injured as Marines lead an airborne evacuation. A few miles away at Red Beach, Marines are about to splash into the water from the dock landing ship USS Pearl Harbor. The amphibious landing involves LCACs, short for Landing Craft Air Cushion, and the Corps' new amphibious combat vehicles, or ACVs. It took the Marines more than 20 years to develop and field the ACV, replacing the Vietnam War-era assault amphibious vehicle.
I think it's going well.
Lieutenant Colonel Fred Monday is the commanding officer of the 3rd Assault Amphibian Battalion, which owns all the ACVs on the West Coast. The first deployment of ACVs was pushed back almost 2 years in 2022 after 2 rolled over in high surf off of Camp Pendleton. The vehicle's first operational deployment was in spring 2024.
The battalion right now has 5 elements that are training for deployments, where in the past we were just training for 1. So all the things we learned from, you could argue some missteps years ago where we just didn't know, those have been applied.
Tactical vehicles like the ACV are top-heavy and prone to rollovers. Just days before we spoke with Monday, a Marine at Camp Pendleton was killed in an incident with a tactical vehicle. Citing an ongoing investigation, the Marines won't say what vehicle was involved, only saying it was unrelated to Steel Night. Monday says safety is an important part of planning for any military exercise.
We approach it through two lenses. One, there's safety structure that is in place. So think of safety officers, think of safety briefs, think of all the things to make sure that the Marines know what right looks like and what right does not look like.
The regulations are there, but Monday says there's no denying the work they do is dangerous.
The second part is that a tactically proficient crew operates inherently safe in dangerous environments. So we do speak safety, but we speak risk mitigation because that's what we do as warfighters. When we focus primarily on safety alone, we may lose sight of the fact that we are preparing to go to war, but I will stand behind the fact that if you do it to the tactical standard, you are inherently safe.
Almost 3,000 sailors and Marines were part of this year's exercise. Infantry from 1-5, along with other elements of 1 Marine Expeditionary Force, will deploy to Australia sometime next year. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the News Hour, the latest jobs report shows a slowdown in hiring. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Less than 3 days. That is how long Congress has left to avoid a leap in health care costs for many Americans. Affordable Care Act subsidies from the pandemic era are set to expire in the new year. The Congressional Budget Office estimates about 2 million people will become uninsured next year if that happens. As Amy Kiley reports, bipartisan groups are starting to push for compromise.
You're going to anticipate the enormous sticker shock of your premiums going up.
New plans are emerging to keep healthcare costs from skyrocketing for millions of Americans. Lawmakers are scheduled to start their holiday breaks at the end of this week, and certain Obamacare subsidies are set to expire while they're on recess. Leaders of the two parties are largely at an impasse. Democrats want a straight-up 3-year extension of the subsidies. House Republicans want a floor vote this week on a plan that lets them expire.
This proposal focuses on expanding the availability of association health plans, allowing employers to really band together to purchase coverage. It also includes new transparency requirements for pharmacy benefit managers.
Now some centrist Republicans and a handful of Democrats are working on compromises in both chambers. In the House today, a bipartisan group is taking steps to try to force a floor vote on their plan. It would extend the subsidies, but with stricter income caps and new fraud prevention measures.
It's hundreds of dollars a month for many Americans throughout the country. We have to do right by those people.
In the Senate, a bipartisan group that met last night is considering a way to extend the subsidies with reforms. They say they hope to announce their plan before the holiday break.
I think there's a deal that could be done.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
It appears that the holiday season is spreading more than just good cheer. Respiratory illnesses are ramping up in the U.S., fueled by a new flu variant that spread early in Asia, Australia, and Europe. Mandy Gaither has a look at the latest data and why experts worry this respiratory virus season could be as bad as the last one.
The holidays are here, and so is respiratory illness season, with 3 influenza viruses circulating in the U.S., the new variant, subclade K, driving most infections.
And we're seeing a lot of influenza cases increasing across the country, and that's a trend that we're sure will continue into the new year.
Andrew Pakosh with Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health says the U.S. will likely see a pretty severe influenza season. Some states are already seeing high levels of the virus, but he says the new variant makes it likely for every state to have high flu case numbers in the next 2 to 3 months.
Whether we're simply seeing more cases because this clade K influenza virus is evading immunity and therefore more people are susceptible to infection, or if it's really causing more severe disease on a case-by-case basis.
Meanwhile, Pakosh says numbers of COVID-19 cases are nowhere near what we've seen in prior years, but this virus sometimes increases midwinter, and RSV levels have also been low.
It's not clear exactly why, but 2 strong RSV seasons combined with new RSV vaccines and treatments may all be contributing to that reduced case number.
Pakosh says vaccination is still the best way to protect against severe disease for all of these respiratory viruses. He says the flu vaccine is a good match for 2 strains of the virus, but may evade some, but not all, vaccine-induced protection.
It is certainly not too late, especially as we're thinking about holiday gatherings and travel.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And the CDC just released numbers for the week ending December 6th, the first full week after the Thanksgiving holiday. And it found the proportion of doctors' visits for symptoms, including fever plus a cough or sore throat, rose to over 3%. People who get their power from San Diego Gas and Electric can expect a hike in rates come January. But KPBS reporter John Carroll says rates might actually go back down later next year.
They are the kinds of things that make modern life possible: electricity and natural gas. And if you live in the SDG&E service area, you're paying some of the highest utility rates in the state.
Item 200 is the SDG&E 2025 presentation on gas and electric rates.
SDG&E is required to update the San Diego City Council every 3 months on rates and energy matters. Monday's presentation included what SDG&E says will be an average $3 a month hike in the price of electricity and a $1 increase for natural gas. Several San Diegans spoke to the council about why they're opposed to the increases.
San Diegan residents, businesses, your city agencies, and community groups, schools, continue to suffer from the inordinately high profits being drained from our city by SDG&E and its parent company, Sempra.
As you know, SDG&E is bringing in record profits while San Diego families suffer. They fight every program and legislation that would bring rate relief to San Diegans.
A combined $4 hike might not sound like much, but when distributed over SDG&E's 3 million plus customers, it can have an effect, says USD economics professor Alan Jin.
If you spread that over all the households we have in San Diego, that could take a little bit of buying power then out of the local economy. And right now, with prices rising on products, with inflation, people are stressed. And so they really don't need this on top of that, even though it's a small amount.
SDG&E says the increases are needed for a variety of reasons: wildfire mitigation, improvements to the grid, including undergrounding of utility lines, and rising natural gas prices. But much of the increase could go away next August. Because of some complex accounting, utility bills could fall about $3 a month by then. We asked SDG&E for an interview so we could ask questions about the rate increases. Instead, they provided a statement. The utility says they work every day to keep costs down while ensuring a reliable source of power for their customers. The California Public Utilities Commission reviews and approves all rate increases. They've already approved this one, so you'll see it on your January bill. John Carroll, KPBS News.
Well, this time of year can be filled with joy and fun, but this season can also create tension and exhaustion. Mandy Gaither has more from a licensed therapist on how to handle holiday stress.
If the most wonderful time of the year is feeling a bit stressful, you're not alone.
It can be joyful, and it can also be too much and overwhelming.
Licensed therapist Jody Baumstein with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says accepting that you can have conflicting feelings can help you manage the stress. The next step, figuring out the root cause.
Is it not having enough time? Is it overcommitting? Is it financial strain? Is it boundaries? Recognize what it is so then you can figure out what to do about it.
Then Baumstein says to set realistic expectations for yourself. It's okay to say no to that holiday party you don't have time for. Save your yeses for the things that matter most. And be mindful of yourself. Prioritize you time.
So if it means you're going to have your morning cup of coffee by yourself, do that.
And finally, this hectic holiday season, not only ask for help, but accept it.
If we want things to be lighter, if we want things to be easier, we also have to give ourselves permission to delegate, to ask other people to help us carry the weight of things.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And Baumstein says in chaotic times, it's important to slow down. She says despite messages that we should be doing more, give yourself permission to do less, and that can help alleviate the stress. And this holiday season, the San Diego State men's basketball team is helping to feed families across San Diego one three-pointer at a time.
It was cool to go to Hoover High School, interact with the high school students, pass out food to families in need, giving back to the community. It was real fun.
Aztecs players rolled up their sleeves to hand out food at Hoover High School. For every three-pointer they make this season, $3 will be donated to Feeding San Diego, and that means 6 meals for local families for every shot made. So far, the team's made 68 threes this season.
It gives you extra motivation to knock the shot down, for having something in the game go to an actual cause that's good, it's awesome.
A lot of those kids, the seniors, are very close in their age, and so for them to see firsthand the kids and the families that really need help right here in their own hometown, and to be able to give the food to those families, I think it really meant a lot to them, and it means a lot to us.
And if you want to get in on the fun, well, you can. Fans can join by matching donations through each game. The Aztecs' next take on the Air Force tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Well, we have a very warm weather pattern continuing here as we move on through the next several days. There are some areas with reduced air quality, though. This strong ridge of high pressure that's led to sinking air has kind of trapped some of the pollutants near the ground. Up into Orange County, the past 2 days, there have been air quality alerts, in fact, with even some wood-burning bans up that way. We're going to remain very warm and dry across the region, and patchy clouds and fog will be lurking each morning near the coast, and into the morning hours we'll begin to see them deteriorate. We'll see a brighter sky in the afternoon. Mainly clear tonight. Some low clouds will begin to creep in from the coast, and will be around 51 degrees tonight. The rain and the storm track persistently staying north, similar to last week, well to the north. May get a little closer this week, but still mainly north of Interstate 80. We're going to be dealing with a lot of warmth across the region and dry weather as well. Ramona, 77. That's been a recent hot spot. 67 in San Diego. You're not going to experience much of an extreme here near the coast, but inland areas are running warm. 79 at Abrego Springs, and we'll actually gain a few more degrees in inland areas for Thursday with near record highs. The greatest likelihood of a true record high will be a little farther east, areas like maybe Yuma, Arizona, or Needles, California, well off to the east near Lake Havasu City. But it will be close to record highs in some spots of Southern California as well. Now into Friday, a quick look at that travel forecast. We haven't had to make many changes to the map. Many of you will be traveling here as we get closer to Christmas. It is also the week of Hanukkah here this week. And moving forward, you can see rain and mountain snow well to the north. If you're traveling anywhere in the southern latitudes of the U.S., though, and you're in good shape, jumping ahead to Monday, another big travel day, the Monday of Christmas week. Lots of green. That's good news. Locally, we're in good shape. Still some action to the north, up into the Pacific Northwest. Coastal forecast here, we warm up 72 Thursday, 71 Friday. Temperatures drop a bit for Saturday. Low clouds in the morning, lots of afternoon sunshine. Inland areas making a run all the way up to 80 degrees hot for this time of the year, Thursday and Friday. Nice weather returns for Saturday and Sunday. In the mountains we go, and here we're going to be into the low to mid 60s, elevation under our feet. It's not going to be nearly as warm here. And into the deserts, upper 70s consistently. Pretty warm for this time of the year with a good deal of sunshine. Pleasant with temperatures dropping just a little bit back down come Sunday. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
A new project is gathering stories of government persecution against LGBTQ plus San Diegans. KPBS reporter Katie Heisen says it's preserving not just the past, but the present.
We've often disputed the Navy's ability to determine gayness.
So this is probably one of my favorite bits of local history. The Dixon Six were 6 women that were in the Navy in the 70s, and there was a witch hunt to, quote, ferret out the lesbians that were serving in the Navy at that time.
Nicole Verdes clicks through photos inside the Lambda archives, where they serve as managing director. Protests against San Diego police raids of gay bars in the 70s. Others against the U.S. government's lack of response to the AIDS crisis. They're gathering local stories of LGBTQ plus persecution by the government.
It's not a new form of persecution, and the LGBTQ plus community, we're no strangers to attacks on our rights and our livelihood and who we are as people.
The photos will be shown at the end of each performance of Fellow Travelers at the San Diego Opera next year. It's a gay love story set against the mass firing of LGBT U.S. civil servants in the 50s. Kevin Newbury directs the opera.
One of the ironies of this time period is that it was all about keeping records on people and keeping files, but those files have never been released.
Newbury wants to create a record for future generations.
You know, sharing stories, I mean, in many ways, that's all we have, right?
He's collecting not just past stories, but present. Denial of gender on passports. Transgender people banned from the military.
You know, I never thought that we would be including people that were getting fired today.
Verde says the history can help us navigate the present moment.
It also gives a kind of like a hope, you know, that we've been here before, that we've fought these types of persecutions before, and we've, you know, continued to sustain and fight and move forward.
The submission form is available on kpbs.org. Katie Hyson, KPBS News.
And here is a look at what we are working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom on NPR's Morning Edition. Santa Clauses in the U.S. are getting more diverse, and they're in high demand as families try to find a jolly fella who looks more like them. And the most wonderful time of the year can also be one of the most stressful. KPBS Midday Edition is talking with a psychologist about how to manage holiday stress. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Previs Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.